Ben, hey man.
Man, what's happening?
Hey, not too much. It must be Thursday.
It is Thursday, 4 o'clock. Episode. What is this?
This is 8. This is episode 8. So we're 8 weeks running strong. We can say that on the 100th episode, we'll wear our party hats and talk about how amazing we are for showing up every week.
I'm just gonna keep on going.
I know, man. It's awesome. I'm enjoying it. Um, you know, the purpose, like we talked about, is just, it's 30 minutes, where for one thing, you and I, who are, in real estate but doing different things,
Yep.
This is a good time every week for us to catch up and talk about what is going on. I can,
Sure.
hear about what's going on in your world, and you can hear about what's going on the sales side. And then, anybody who wants to log on can, or not even log on. Anybody who's on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn can ask us a question, and I can respond to. You can respond here too, right? You have access to comment on these questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can both comment on it. And like the sign says behind me, that's a little bit out of focus. That's every Thursday at 4 p.m. And next week, I'll say this again at the end of the episode, but next week I'm going to be down in Florida, down in 30A, and we're going to do an episode with Jim Losnica, who is a real estate agent down there, talking about vacation rentals. So that'll be a really good one to check out.
That will be good.
Vacation rentals. So don't miss that one. That was what I was going to say a minute ago to you too. I almost forgot about the time difference down there. So I'm going to be doing the show at 3 p.m.
Oh, that's right.
Central. Yeah. So anyway, how's your week going? How are mortgages?
Fast. Of course, Monday was a holiday, 4th of July. And so the rest of the week is always a sprint. So those Monday holidays, markets closed, of course, and it's a sprint for the next 4 days. So it just seems like this whole week has just flown by. Last week was great. Last Thursday and Friday, rates were really good. We got down into like the low fives, let's say. When I say that, that's like the free rate, no discount points, depending on your credit and all that fun stuff. So that was really good. Holiday happened. Tuesday was decent, and then the last 2 days just haven't been good.
Really?
Fed meeting notes came out. They're starting to talk about liquidity and some things that just doesn't really help the bond market. So that kind of shot us up a little bit. Tomorrow, jobs report comes out before rates are really announced. So tomorrow would be a telltale on how strong that jobs data is, and go from there. But again, we're just going to be riding these waves.
Yeah.
That's all there is. They're going to go up, down, up, down. There's because the market is so volatile.
So what do you, what's the highest? Are we into what's the highest you've seen it, seen rates go up, so far this year?
Depending on credit, there's times like 2 weeks ago after that CPI inflation report came out that felt like 6.25 was like a good rate.
Golly.
And then, last week we dipped down to the low fives. So it moved dramatically. But now the 10-year treasury is back right about 3. So we need that thing about 2.7 or so. So that's where we've seen the lower interest rates. But again, the people selling rate, they're very hesitant to pass along those gains right away.
Yeah.
Because the market is so volatile, these investors who are selling rate, they're not passing along those gains as fast as what they could have or should have, because they don't want the market to change so fast where they start getting margin calls from their investors, right? So if the market moves so fast in either direction, there's margin in there that they have to make up.
Okay.
And so that's what they call these margin calls. So back in 2020, when we were seeing this again, when rates dropped really fast, or they went up before they actually went down. But a lot of mortgage companies got these margin calls from their warehouse lines, and they were having to come to the table with millions of dollars. Like there's rumors out there like these bigger mortgage companies having to stroke checks for, 5, 10, 15, 20 million dollars a day to keep up with these margins. So that's why I think they've learned from that, and they're really not passing along the gains as fast.
Okay.
Anymore. So we'll see.
Interesting. Okay. That's like a whole episode right there.
Dude, it's on a different level, but we can't bore people with all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's fascinating. It's it's really, really interesting stuff. I mean, how all that stuff is happening behind the scenes. I mean, do you think like at some point they will share those savings and buyers down on our level will reap the benefits, or no?
Man, it's like the freaking gas stations. I think they all talk to each other.
Yeah.
And like, you know what? This is where we're setting pricing.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like it's like the gas stations. You can drive down. You can see 15 gas stations. They're all $4.49 right now in Smyrna. I'm dead serious. Like who set these prices, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of funny, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Hey, so it's July now, so we can look at the June numbers. Like we talked about last month when we did the May numbers, it takes a couple days for it to catch up. Really, we're on the 7th of July, but still there are some things that are going to close out from June where those numbers might change a little bit, but we can look at some of this stuff now. So I'm going to change it to this screen so it's full on there. So this was, I'm going to take it off sale price because that's the really interesting one. But this was new listings. So for the month of June, just like we predicted, new listings have started to creep back up, right? Also, months of supply. I mean, look at this curve right here. So we went from where it was just flat, dropped all the way down to almost a month flat at the beginning of the year, stayed there for several months, and now we're steadily creeping back up. So we're at 1.8, almost 2 months of inventory now. 1.8 months of inventory is still very low, but I mean, it's creeping up. We're probably going to get back to this range eventually. In the next, 6-9 months, we're going to get back up into this 3 months of inventory range.
Is 3 months of inventory still a seller's market?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're not in a buyer's market until we're 6 or 7 months of inventory.
Got it.
So then we've got days on market here stayed flat. So days on market has been at, median days on market is 6, which is incredibly low, incredibly short amount of time. And that has not changed since April. So this is interesting. I mean, this line right here has just fallen off since March. This is shows to pending. So on the one hand, days on market, they're still going under contract fast, but there's less buyers in the market. So you're getting less showings on the houses, which I think probably also means you're not getting quite the, crazy, insane offers that you were getting before. Closed sales in June also fell off by about 1,000, actually, 800 or so. Pending sales also fell off even more than that.
Is this just like that? Is this like every county or?
Yeah. So we could. Do you want to look at it? Do you want to look at a specific area?
No, I'm just saying that the data that we're looking at right now, is it just for FMLS?
Yeah, it's FMLS.
It covers most of Metro Atlanta. I know some of them still use.
Yeah. So it's basically the more like, it's Fulton, DeKalb, Cobb, Gwinnett, Clayton County. I mean, in Paulding County, those kind of areas. But like you said, it's mostly closer to the perimeter. Once you get out to like rural areas, then it's more like Georgia MLS covers a lot of that. But I mean, we could look at a specific area here. Let's see. So if I just looked up City of Atlanta, then you can see the black line up here is the entire FMLS, right? And Atlanta is the green line down here. So let's go back to sale price. Now, I didn't show this before, but sale price stayed the same from May to June, 400,000, which is up, significantly over the last couple of years. Sale price in Atlanta dropped a little bit, dropped from 458 down to 425. Months of supply went up in step with the entire MLS. Days on market stayed flat, just like the MLS. Shows to pending dropped off, actually a little bit lower, so only 10. Closed sales. So yeah, this is interesting. So closed sales, I mean, it dipped a little bit, but not as much as the entire MLS. So it's pretty much the same in that area. But, we could even look up based on zip code or neighborhood or, whatever right there.
Dang.
Go back to here. So that's really interesting that the most interesting part, I think, is that the sale, we've got shows to pending that just fell off, but sale price stayed the same, and months of supply has creeped up, but it's basically exactly like what we said would happen. And what all of these experts said will happen. Homes will continue to increase in value, though it did stay flat over the last month, but they'll continue to increase in value. Less buyers in the market means less showings. Days on market stayed the same. So homes are still selling fast. We're still in a seller's market. Oh, you asked about, seller's market. Where we get into a buyer's market, it's like 6 or 7 months. So, we talked about before 2019 where we were at 3 months of inventory, 3.5 months of inventory. That was still a very good seller's market. So today at 1.8 months of inventory, we're still in our inventory is so low. It's keeping demand high, even though interest rates have gone up and there are maybe less buyers in the market. Inventory, being so low is still keeping demand very high. And even when this doubles, when we get to, over 3 months of inventory, 3.5 months of inventory, we're still going to be in a seller's market. It's going to take a lot more inventory to get us out of that seller's market. So I don't know. Is that what you were expecting for? I was kind of. Go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't think it was going to be like a straight line up on the inventory. So, what did we go from 1.4 to 1.8?
Yeah, which is a pretty big.
That's still a pretty big jump.
That actually is a big jump because we were at 1.1 months for several months. We were at that level. Then it went from 1.2 to 1.4 in May, and then went from 1.4 to 1.8 in June. So it's increasing in how quickly it's going up. But we're also past peak selling season as well. So we're in right now. June and July is vacation time. So that you're going to normally see more inventory this time anyway. I mean, let's look back at.
And you think so? August is usually a decent month, but then it seems like it kind of gets a little weird around the holidays, right?
Yeah. So, we can look back, it's weird to look back at last year because it was just, last year and the year before, because it was just crazy, but it's the same thing. If you look back at this time last year, inventory went up in June and July, just like it's doing right now. Actually, let's see, did it do that? Well, it didn't do that in 2020 because everything was just falling off in 2020. But inventory in last year went from in May jumped up in June to 1.2, in July to 1.4, and then it stayed flat until October, and then it kind of dropped off again. So yeah, and then let's look at closed sales. Closed sales also fell off. So normally, once you get into the holiday season, you get into October, and then going into Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, inventory falls off, but also sales fall off typically. So just like right now is vacation time. Once it gets to be holiday season, most people aren't thinking about, if they haven't sold their house yet, most people are going to hold off until the spring to try and get top dollar, and also not have to worry about it during the holidays. But anybody who is, some people don't have a choice. I mean, people are relocating for jobs and things like that. So sometimes you just don't have a choice. But or maybe you're buying a house somewhere else. You're trying to move somewhere else, so you don't have a choice. But we talked last week about holiday shopping, and that's something to think about for every holiday. Once we're talking about like Labor Day coming up. That's a good opportunity for people to get out and shop for homes, especially those houses that have been sitting on the market a little bit longer, because you're not going to have a whole lot of competition out there. It might be a good weekend that sellers might be ready to go ahead and let go of it. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I had a question for you about FHA loans. Do you work with a lot of FHA loans?
Absolutely.
So my question is, I know that, I've seen it on my side where there are certain homes that are just not going to go FHA because of the condition of the home, right? Appraisers with FHA appraisers, just like VA appraisers, come in and do their own sort of inspection. They want to make sure the home is habitable and everything like that.
Right.
How, in your opinion, are there certain things that an FHA appraiser that you've seen them call out repeatedly that are just things that now are not going to work, or you can tell a real estate agent or a buyer, this stuff, if this is not right, is not going to work for an FHA appraiser?
A lot of the issues we have on FHA appraisals comes down to safety.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What are some safety issues that you've seen?
Like, for example, we had one last week. The hand railing was loose,
mm-hmm.
Or one of them. What was it? Either the hand railing was loose or the hand railing was missing. But I've seen both of those.
Okay.
We've had deck issues. Mm-hmm. Deck's loose, or it's coming off the house a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the thing that they're looking at. Like, a lot of it has to do with safety. We've had them where like little things, like the crawl space door was missing. Okay, that probably needs to be fixed anyways. I don't care if it's a conventional loan. That just needs to get fixed. Outlet covers missing. Of course, heating not working. Vent hood not working to, get rid of kitchen smoke or whatever it is. Yeah. Making sure that there's smoke detectors work and they're in the proper places for code. Floor covering.
Oh, I didn't think about smoke detectors. That's definitely one. So if a home, for an FHA appraiser, the house has to have smoke detectors in all the required places.
Right. Rooms. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. And I've even seen that in a lot of it. I've even seen it on conventional too, where
really,
yeah, where like you could tell that there was a smoke detector there and it's not there anymore. They'll point that out because they don't want to be held liable.
Okay, but they don't on a conventional loan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but on a conventional loan, they don't require it like an FHA appraiser would, right?
It depends on the house, right? Because if it's new construction, they have to meet county code.
Yeah.
Right. So, or they're not going to get signed off on. But I think most homes nowadays, even the ones they all have smoke detectors in them where they should be anyways now.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, I see a lot actually where, um, a homeowner just like the battery, goes dead or whatever. And they don't want to deal with it. So they just disconnect it, which is dangerous,
It is
obviously.
dangerous, but like on a conventional appraisal, I don't see them going in and testing
Yeah.
these smoke detectors.
They
But
just
if
want to
it's
see that it's
missing,
there.
like if it's
Yeah.
missing, they'll probably point it out.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I see it a lot. I mean, I see it called out on inspections all the time where it's like,
Do you?
there's no smoke detector. Like there's a place for it, but it's just not there. And then the seller's like, oh yeah, I just took it down. Like it was beeping and I just took it down. This guy, oh really?
They couldn't find a battery,
Yeah. So that's good
or
to
didn't have a
know.
ladder to put it back up.
Yeah. So that's good to know for FHA loans because that question actually came up.
A lot of it's just safety concerns.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
you know, in my experience with FHA and VA, it's like as long as it's habitable and safe, then there's not a problem. Now, if it's a house that investors are going to be looking at, that's probably not going to
right.
work for FHA. But I had that question come up with a buyer this week, and it's a house that basically belongs to an estate now,
Mm.
and so there was a question of like whether or not it would work for FHA, and I don't I wouldn't think it would be a problem, other than those kind of things. So that's good to know about the smoke detectors to make sure that it has all the smoke detectors and they work. And I had one weird thing come up in a VA appraisal one time, and it was my listing, but the carpet upstairs had one little roll in it, like it wasn't tight enough, just in one little spot, and they
Yeah.
called that out as a tripping hazard. The
They
VA
will.
appraiser did. Yeah. And I also had a VA appraiser once call out um, some wood rot on a window sill on the outside.
They'll do that. Or I've had them. I've even had them called out on like chip paint on windowsills or on columns.
Really? Chipped
Yeah.
paint.
Yep.
Man.
Because I don't. I guess it's a safety hazard if you're eating paint chips.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Um, well, good. Thanks for answering that question for me. Um, well, you know, I want to look at the numbers one more time and just go over that because really that's kind of the was the biggest point of this episode. Once again, next week will be a really good episode for anybody to watch who's thinking about vacation rentals. Next week we're gonna interview a real estate agent down in Florida, the Panhandle, 30A, and he's going to talk to us about vacation rentals. And I mean, in that area, that's mostly what it is. I mean, you have people in those beach communities who live there permanently, some, but most of that is vacation rentals. And there are a lot of people, some people who own multiple rentals down there and make a pretty good um, profit off of those vacation rentals, and they also have a place that they can go, right? Do you guys you and Mindy have a vacation rental?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah, but you have several rentals, right? Just no,
Yeah, we
nothing.
do. I just for some reason we were looking in Blue Ridge at one time, and then now we're looking in St. George Island down in Florida. So we're definitely looking. I don't know. I got too much going on with the
No, I
board
feel you. No,
and everything else. Like if Mindy wants to manage it and all that, but I just can't.
yeah.
I
I
have it
mean,
right now.
yeah, down in Rosemary, I don't know if everywhere is like this, but it seems like in Rosemary, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Like they have certain property management companies that you have to use if you're going to have a rental down there.
Mm-hmm.
At least in Rosemary, and because we rent through the same company every single time,
Yeah.
and I mean it's expensive. I mean that property management fee is steep. It's steeper than anywhere else. Any other just regular market, a vacation market. The the property management is a lot more. But for me, my thought, and I think for a lot of people who have those properties down there, is it's like, well, as long as what we're getting, what the rental income is getting, as long as that's covering the expenses and the mortgage, and we can put away some for maintenance, then that's fine. And we have somewhere to vacation a couple weeks out of the year.
You know that you've heard me talk about that investor cash flow loan, that DSCR.
No, tell me. You did talk to me about it briefly, but tell me about it so we can let everybody else know.
So DSCR is debt service coverage ratio, and it's pretty much an investor cash flow mortgage where we're qualifying the property. We're not really even qualifying the borrower. Yes, you have to have a good credit score, okay, but there's no employment verification. There's no income verification. So you can put anywhere from 20% to 30% down. Just it has to be greater than 20%, and the DCSR has to be 1-to-1, or it can go down to 75, but there's a rate hit. So meaning if the mortgage is $2,000, the rent has to be $2,000.
Right.
That's the 1-to-1 ratio. Okay. The rent's a little bit less. You can go down, but you just have to have a higher credit score, but there's a rate hit. So great for investors and great for people buying investment properties. With those loans, though, you do have to have a history of being a landlord.
Oh, okay.
And you do actually have to own your current home.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? You might not have to have a history with some of the investors that we use for this program. So you just have to own your current home.
Okay.
But they just changed it where we can actually use short-term rental income instead of long-term rent. So we can use tools like AirDNA to see like, okay, well, this property is going to rent for 15 days a month at $300 a night. We can use that as a part of our ratio.
That's really cool.
It is cool. So it's really good for those self-employed investors who don't show a lot on tax returns, have multiple properties, complex files. The rate is a lot higher than a traditional mortgage, but great option for investors now that we can use Airbnb, VRBO as a source for that. So if you want to go buy a condo in Destin or Rosemary or wherever, we can look it up in AirDNA and see like, you know what, this size of unit in this area on average rents for 23 days a month at this rate.
Mm-hmm.
And we can actually use that over a year period. I don't know if you have AirDNA or
I've heard of it, but I've never used it.
It is really good because it takes all that data in from VRBO and Airbnb, and it shows you everything on what you can actually make for that property. It's really good.
That's really helpful. So that's cool. So what was that loan program called? This is for investors.
It's investor cash flow.
Okay. So
there's no investor cash flow or DSCR.
So there's no employment check, and is there a credit check? There's a credit check,
right?
Yeah,
there is credit check because your credit score is based on what the rate you're going to receive.
Okay, so there's credit check. There's no employment check.
There's no employment verification, no income verification.
Okay, so it's just based on what?
They're really based on what's this place going to rent for and what's it going to cash flow.
Yeah, so as long
are you going to be able to make your mortgage payment with the rents being received?
Right, that's cool. I like that. That's you. I do remember you mentioning that to me, and I'm definitely going to have somebody that'll be able to use that program.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, so we're at the 30-minute mark. I'm going to go over these numbers one more time, just so everybody's got this. And knows what happened, and you'll be able to watch this video in the email next week. I'll send it out, July market update or June market update. Sorry, now that we're in July. So like we talked about before, so sale price stayed flat from May to June at 400,000, but that's still, that's good. The other thing is, like I said, should I share this? I should share this real quick. Okay. So sale price stayed flat from May to June. But like I mentioned before, some of these numbers may update in the next few weeks as more sales get recorded. New listings jumped way up from May to June for the second month in a row. Homes for sale continuing to climb. Months of supply went up again from 1.4 to 1.8 months. Closed sales is down, pending sales down, and then shows to pending has just dropped off. So that, really, I think that was the most interesting thing, is to see how those shows from pending came down. I mean, really, you're just dropping off, because that really is your insight into how many buyers are in the market. If the pending sale, or if the shows to it goes under contract, means it's going down. That means you're just getting less buyers in the door. And inventory is creeping back up. So just like we said, those home values will continue to rise. We'll have to look at it again. Obviously, we're going to look at it every month, but look at it in August and see, is that sale price going to keep creeping up? Are we going to stay flat? Are we going to dip at all? I mean, we haven't seen a dip in sale price. Actually, look at that. There actually was a dip in sale price from December to January this year, but that's really the only dip in sale price since the beginning of 2020.
It's not bad.
So anyway, that's it, man. Thanks for joining me. And
you're coming live from the Panhandle.
Yep. Next week. Yep. 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, Ben, thanks again. And Ben, real quick, just for the recording, give everybody your information real quick so they can reach you if they need to.
Absolutely. Ben Bell, ATL Mortgage. My telephone number is 770-841-1532. Ben at bellmortgageteam.com, and you can look me up at bellmortgageteam.com. So there you go. Awesome. Pretty simple stuff.
All right. Thanks, Ben. Talk to you soon, man. Have a good rest of your week.
You too.